are different. They have different accumulation.
So, because what's accumulated is kusla and akusla.
I think that it's not her time yet.
And the words, just memory, they're lost. It's not like we're accumulating in another life, we forget all the words. So, what's accumulated is if lopa arises, lopa is accumulated. If wrong view arises, wrong view is accumulated. If right view arises, right view is accumulated. So therefore, if right view has not arrived, not arisen when after hearing the Dhamma, then there's not going to be any effect in the future.
I think that one has to be so truthful to the truth. If one doesn't want to understand what the Buddha's word mean, then it's useless, because she just like to have her own, like Lopa.
And just because she got to hear the Dhamma as against listening to someone else speak, it's the same. If it's Lopa, isn't it?
She cannot differentiate the words of Buddhas and the others, or she doesn't want to hear new words, Dhamma and so on, but the Pati.
Sundara, she has aversion to the situation, and that's what she's accumulating. Next time she hears the Dhamma, she's going to have aversion too. No, I'm saying that at least that is going to condition the same in the future.
Yeah, I think it's quite complex. I hear what you're saying, and I think what you've made is a very valid point, that all we're going to do is accumulate different types of kilesa, or where we're here or we're not here. What I was saying is that what my feeling is, this is how I see it, that what she heard really challenged her view. It seemed so different to what she's ever heard before, and it seemed to be for her unhelpful and or completely wrong. That's how she felt. So there was a lot of doubt about what she was hearing, Kunsukin. So what I'm saying is that in future, when she hears, say, something similar, it may be a condition for her to reflect in a different way. I don't know. I think the point you made is a good point, but I'm still thinking that even when we hear something that, like I think in the Buddha's time, of different people who were told, I'm trying to think of an example, and I must say I'm struggling, but I'm sure there would be sometimes people who had a lot of wrong view in the Buddha's time. And, I think of Mighara, who said to that bhikkhu, I'm not interested in you, and Visakha said to him, please go on, sir. He's eating stale food. So he had a lot of aversion to what Visakha said to him, and then she said to him, well, and he said to her, you speaking very rudely, that's very wrong of you to say that. And then he subsequently went on to see the Buddha, and he gradually understood. Now, I know it's a slightly different situation because he had accumulated also a lot of, he had a lot of wrong view, but also he had a lot of right view accumulated. And there weren't the conditions at that point for him to really understand. And because, of course, I was reading just recently about the 3 different miracles, that we call the Iddhi Patiharya, Adesana Patiharya, and the Anusasani Patiharya. The Buddha had that amazing ability that nobody else has got, really, to the miracle of teaching. Anusasani Patiharya. That's the great. And of course, Adesana Patiharya, he'll know you more than you can know yourself. So the conditions are very, very complex, and I wished she would have had stayed. You know, I had strong attachment. I saw her last night and we started talking. She asked me what I was doing and I told her a little bit. And I said, look, if you'd like to come tomorrow, you'll be most welcome. And then she said to me, yes, I'll come. I thought, oh, well, that's good. And so I said, well, please meet me here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and we'll go together. And then, you know, 8 o'clock came, she was pretty much exactly there. And we walked, you know, we have to go. So we did a lot of things to go from Vang Lam to Tongloa. It's quite a long way. And so I was hoping that she would stay, but just the conditions. But there may be some right view accumulated, but there's just not conditions for it yet.
See, nobody knows the accumulations. No. And as you say, you wish she would stay. Actually, what you should wish, what's a better thing would be that wish that she had right understanding. Yes. Not just stay. Stay can be with wrong understanding too. True. So we're talking about particular dhammas that have arisen and accumulated. So even though she may have accumulated wisdom in the past lives, we don't know. But what I'm pointing to is that the dhammas that have arisen now, if there's aversion to what's being heard, if there's wrong understanding to what's being heard, that's accumulated. So we know at least that is not going to bring good result.
Ma'am, lot of the people see Buddhism as a pessimistic religion, ma'am. Why? Pessimistic religion. Yes, ma'am.
What do you mean by that?
Ma'am, I mean to it's not a it's a negative, but I mean that to see the most worst thing first, please, ma'am.
Not the truth.
Not the truth, ma'am. Good, ma'am. Why, ma'am?
Everything which is real, no matter what you think.
Just to give an example, Ajarn, even the Pope, the last Pope, he said the same thing about Buddhism, that it's a very negative religion because they talk about suffering, the word suffering, and Christianity talks about happiness.
That's it. What's the meaning? What's the translation? See, it doesn't depend on the word, but it depends on understanding. For example, pessimist, some think, so it's some. People have different ideas. What do you think? Is it pessimist or what?
It's just the truth. You can't you can't put that into some kind of a category, ma'am.
Explain a little bit more the meaning of pessimistic. It means to see the bad side of things only. Not to see the good side, but only the bad side.
Enough. Do they understand the teaching enough?
Most probably not, Ajahn.
For example, they don't know what's meant by suffering.
Right.
But ma'am, Buddhism is not all about suffering.
It's the truth. Absolute truth. Yes.
Isn't?
The first noble truth. But also there's the other three truths, and the third one is nibbana. But then that's not like saying that, it's also talking about non-suffering.
Mm-hmm.
It's talking about non-suffering, but it's not selling happiness. It's just pointing out that there is a truth of non-dukkha that does not have the nature. But from beginning to end, the understanding is about the nature of dukkha, the nature of realities.
And if that dukkha is understood, it leads to the highest happiness.
For example, what do you think about pain? And that moment, it is pessimist?
No, but you don't even have to wait to reach nibbana. The difference between a person who has understanding, the person who has understanding will have this impression that it's so good to know. There's nothing better than this. Mm-hmm. So is that pessimist?
No, sir, it's not pessimist.
And this moment, it's not last. It's a pessimist.
It's not last.
Mm-hmm.
It's not last.
So we can ask them to have an answer.
So it means that people who are saying that it's a pessimistic religion, they don't have the understanding. They don't have the understanding.
See, the Dhamma goes against the stream of Lobha. Means that without the Dhamma, we all know only one kind of happiness. To get what we like. to get pleasant objects. So the Dhamma goes against this tendency to always looking for something pleasant. It is not about attachment but detachment. So that's why when people hear, some people have this reaction that it's not, because when they hear other religions, because those people who object are people who believe in other philosophies and religions, right? So those philosophies tend to give them happiness in thinking about the past, present and future, especially the future, the results of what this thing. And the Dhamma goes against that. Dhamma, the kind of thinking does not encourage hope, does not encourage attachment. So for people who know only attachment, who know happiness only through attachment, will not like to hear the Dhamma. It's not that that's because there's attachment and there's a suffering when we don't get the object of attachment. It's because the nature of all realities, of all our experience, every moment, that which experiences and that which is experienced, living out Nibbana, has the nature of rise and fall, and that is the meaning of suffering. That is the first noble truth. Suffering is not just the unpleasant body or mental feeling, it's not just not getting what you want, but it's just pointing to the nature of reality. So even now, even happy feelings rise and fall away, even neutral feelings rise and fall away. So it's good to know. It's good to know that that is the nature of reality, because otherwise we don't know and we just live in the world of things, us and them, always have attachment to things and aversion to things without understanding. When we understand that in fact there are no people and things, but only reality is one at a time, and they rise and fall away, it's liberating. It's
ignorance is it's
is
going.
the cause.
It's
Ignorance is the cause, because ignorance hides the truth. The truth of everything is, all realities is that rise and fall away. Instantly it's gone already. But because of ignorance, there's no, we think that things last. And because we see that things last and we want what we want, we only want pleasant and stay away from unpleasant. So when the pleasant is there, we try to have it, prolong it, and we think that that thing causes our happiness, right? But the thing is that even taste is actually rising and falling away, gone already. But because we don't know, we're thinking, oh, we can just have another bite and have more and more and more and more, and without realizing that even that is fallen away. So our life is going to go like that. So with ignorance, we may have the conditions to have a lot of pleasant feeling, but we know that it cannot happen all the time also, right? So sometimes we are not going to get what we don't want. And who knows, unpleasant feeling, when will it will happen? So are we going to just move towards and run away all our life, move towards what we like and run away from what we don't like?
Mostly, sir.
So when there's understanding, it understands. So no need to, there's no trying to push away or trying to grab. I mean, that happens by conditions, of course, but we can understand that too. So it does not have that power as when there's complete ignorance. Complete ignorance just wants happiness, not to understand. But understanding does not stop one from whatever happens is. So life just goes on as before. So you can be in a very wealthy family and have understanding, and still you'll be having all you have in daily life. But with understanding, life becomes better.
Correct, sir. Sir, before 1 minute ago, you were talking about the attachments. These attachments are also from the cause and effects, are there, sir?
Attachment itself is cause. What you're asking is probably to experience pleasant and unpleasant objects, sir, is the result of past deeds.
Exactly, sir.
Right. So if you're born into a rich family, for example, that's giving you just an idea, then you have more pleasant because of your own good deeds. If you're born into a poor family, that's the result of bad deeds. And if someone with understanding is born without understanding in a rich family, then he's just going to experience the fruits, but he's not going to create a cause for good result because there's no understanding. He's just having more and more attachment, which is the cause for bad results. On the other hand, if someone is born in a poor family but he has understanding, he knows the value of what is good, so he inclined towards do good, doing good. With the best is to develop understanding, right? So, and the fruits of that is of good is pleasant feelings. So he may be a rich man later on, but that's not the goal. I'm saying the goal is to just understand.
Understand that what is happening.
Yes.
What is happening right now.
I want Ajarn.
I think what you made some really good points there, like, because as Kun Sakun was saying, if you're, say, born into a poor family, but you understand the value of good, then there will be more conditions for good things, even at the level of kamma and also at the level of vipaka. So it works really well. The more understanding, the more conditions for kusala vipaka there will be, and the more conditions for kusala kamma. So they can work together in many respects. But if you're born to a really wealthy family with all the good things of life, but you just have all this attachment, it can mean just more conditions for akusala vipaka and more conditions for akusala kamma. So it goes on that way too.
So the thing is, there's not a rule where it's better to be born poor or rich. There's no rule. The rule is when kusala arises, it brings good result. When akusala arises, it brings bad results. And panya, no matter for who, panya is always the best of the kusalas.
A person who is born poor, suppose in a case, a person who is born poor, it is his deeds that he is born poor?
There's always a cause. Whatever happens, even birth is result, right? Do you understand that? Birth is result. So the next chitta what? Also has to be either a cause or result, right? So even every moment, seeing now is result. If your understanding is firm, that is how it is. Hearing now is result.
Sir, okay, sir, I got your point. This is what you are talking about, the senses, what you are talking about, the doors. I can understand that better terminology in the Dhamma. Again, I am asking a one social question. If a person born is poor, indeed it is past karma?
It depends again what we mean poor. Poor just simply means not having the pleasant objects to the senses, right? Having less pleasant objects but mostly unpleasant objects, right? In the end, that's what it comes to.
Exactly, sir.
So when you think about that, then you can understand. If more bad karma is producing result, as in unpleasant experience, than good karma, that you could say is poor. So what we call in the conventional sense a poor person, usually that's what happens. He's having more unpleasant objects. He's hungry more than he's satisfied. Right? Whereas a rich person is hardly ever feels hungry. He's getting food whenever he wants. He gets to see pleasant things. The poor living in a slum does not, around him is not something pleasant. So we can understand that all that is result of karma.
So sir, there is one more question that I have never seen rich people donated rather more than the poor people. Poor people donates more than the rich people.
What did you say in your news?
Rich people donate more than poor people. The thing is, these are just our own personal experience. I think we shouldn't generalize like that. Right? You've seen doesn't mean that it's the truth. Right? So again, let's go to realities. Giving is a kusala chitta. What we know from hearing the Dhamma, that good deeds comes from good chitta, good mental realities. So dana is a good kusala chitta. It's a good deed. It can arise with anyone, anytime. A poor person or rich person. Same thing, attachment can rise with anyone, anytime. So from outside we cannot know what the chitta is. Only that person can know. So if a poor person, for example, gives because he wants next life to not be poor, that's not giving. right? So we
Yes, sir.
cannot say, right? So maybe a poor person is motivated to give for that purpose. And a rich person just doesn't have the conditions because of his circle, and you don't know. Maybe he's giving someone else. Maybe
Sir,
he's giving his knockers in this thing. Who knows, right?
but sir, I have never experienced any Buddhist person giving donations.
You mean here nobody gives?
Uh, Sir, don't make examples like very short examples can make exceptions. Don't make a rule, sir.
No, that's what I'm saying. So you've seen, have you considered giving as in this? People coming to you, being courteous,
No,
have a seat.
no.
That's also giving, right?
Sir, you are again you are quoting that kind of examples. Which are the exceptions? It will not make a rule. A general rule is that most of the community thinks, and the word outside the Buddhism also thinks, Buddhism doesn't contribute donations.
That is not something I would like to
Quote.
go into, because that is just a general. You want an answer for something that because all I can point out to that giving is just a reality. If you agree that, then, and who knows whose chitta is what.
Sir, your answer is quite satisfying to me.
If
But
you're thinking that giving has to be something that we can measure, that a Buddhist has given 1 million rupees for this cause, and a Hindu has given 10 million,
no, sir.
and like that.
No, it's like you are diverting you are twisting the things which I am saying.
Mhm.
It's not like that. Giving might be a volunteer in the flood relief also.
Mhm.
Giving might be the helping the
Yes,
poor also,
yes, yes.
and giving might be helping to the
Sure.
givers also.
Mhm.
What are the three senses?
So what do you mean when you say that the Buddhists don't give? What do you mean?
Generally, it's not. Generally, it's not like in the community. It's not seeing that Buddhist giving to anybody.
Like what? What do you see? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the overall whatever the things are there in the giving, sir.
So when you're saying someone else gives, a Buddhist does not give, what do you mean by that giving? What do you mean?
Sir,
Example?
for example, if somebody is giving, then he can give moral education, morals to the lot of the publics. He can be come out from his like own what we call it, like own how he can come out from his own place to the common masses. He can come at the main platforms. He can give his knowledge and wisdom to the lakhs and lakhs of people. I have never seen this, sir.
Okay. Let me give you the example of, say for example, Sikhs. At least my wife prides in that idea, that Sikhs like to help. Whenever there's a natural disaster anywhere, Sikhs go and give food, give this, give that. And what you're saying seems to sound like you see Sikhs doing that, you see Christians doing that, but you don't see Buddhists doing that. Is that what you mean?
Yes, sir. I've never seen it.
And so your question is, why is there something in the teachings
Exactly.
that does not encourage the Sikhs to do that, but not the Buddhism to do the same thing as?
Yes, sir.
So what is it? Ajarn, can you say something?
Please.
No, not now.
What is it
Unnecessary.
that makes that difference? See, it's like we often talk, like just now I gave the example of a poor person giving. He can give with the idea of a self to do something. So when a religion does not even make that distinction between doing deeds with the idea of self and doing deeds for its own sake, doing good deeds for its own sake, and does not even have the idea, teachings about the barami, how the good is done with understanding, then you end up doing good just for the self. Now that maybe in the Buddhist teachings you don't read too much about, because in other teachings they have so many examples of people doing sacrificing, doing this, doing that, and helping the poor. You know, they talk a lot about helping the poor. Buddhism does not bring out these things. When they talk about development of right, kusala means kusala chitta. So has to point out first to the reality, not just outward actions. So that already makes a big difference between the Dhamma and other religions. Other religions think good, it means doing good, helping, going out like that. And in the end, the Buddha talks about developing your own understanding. So if that's the priority, at any given moment, that is the most important. So if you're motivated to go and donate to a temple, but then there's understanding that you know that it's a self who wants to do it, who wants results, then you're not so motivated. Whereas other religion don't give that understanding. They just go and do it.
I think that now we do not talk about understanding. Remember that when there is no understanding of realities, we just talk about anything which one doesn't have any understanding, like Buddhist, what is meant, or Sikh, or Hindi. See, no understanding at all. From birth to death, we just talk about many things, not the realities of Dhamma. For example, with our citta and cittasika, can they be giving?
No, ma'am.
And when one thinks that one is pessimist, is there any understanding?
No, ma'am.
And when one thinks that one is optimist, is there any understanding?
No, ma'am.
See, we just talk around without understanding about many things we don't know yet about the absolute truth. Can citta be Sikh?
No.
Can citta be Buddhist? Citta is citta.
Chitta itself cannot be Buddhist, but right view can be Buddhist.
It depends on how much understanding is there. For example, like donation or giving, sometimes it's like buying or selling. So it's not good deeds, because many people think about the result of good deeds for themselves. No understanding of just not I at all. It's moment of wholesome citta and cetasikas, which motivate the action or the manners of giving. But sometimes it's like just buying, because if you give this much, you want the result of that much, not understanding that there are many degrees of wholesome. Even we give just a little, but with saddha and no stinginess. See, that is different from giving a lot, but just want or crave for a result and think that it's for me. See, just think for yourself all the time. Is that wholesome? So it does not depend on the number, the amount of giving, but it depends on cetasikas, which condition moment of giving.
And there's the teachings on the Visuddhi, Sila Visuddhi, for example, purity of Sila. That's when the Sila is known as just reality. It becomes pure. It's not a self who's doing. It's just a Dhamma. So we have not just Sila, but also purity of Sila. That's when understanding arises. You do not, the deed is done not for the self. And it's not just done by accumulations, it's done with understanding.
Sir, giving and merits are interconnected.
Why don't we use the kusala citta instead of merit? So at the moment of giving away things, what's the point? Giving things. When you give, what's the point?
Ma'am, giving thing, what the point is there for now? I was saying merits and you said push. Yes, definitely, ma'am.
Not for yourself.
No, ma'am.
So at the moment of giving, it should be for the sake of the receiver or the one we give to. Not for, oh, I will get something from giving. 100 baht or million baht, see? It doesn't matter at all. Because no expectation for anything in return, just for the sake of the receiver. Benefit of that person.
And you talk about Buddhists not giving. Buddhists here give so much. They give so much to the monasteries, to monks. who they shouldn't be giving.
Sir, wisdom.
And all for self. Because they read in the Tipitaka that the highest, the giving to monks is the better than giving to, say, a beggar. So they want to give monks because they want to get the most merit. Just now you want the word merit. So just now Ajarn said giving is actually for the sake of the other person, for the happiness of the other person. And this is, so is this giving when you want to give for your own self? And how it ends up when you give for your own self, it ends up not good for you and not even good for the receiver, and not even for society. For example, the monks, the temples are so rich, the monks have become so greedy. Look at the state. Because people give because they want to give, not because they see the value of giving.
I'd like to say something in reference to the giving, that there were comments about how wealthy people give more than poor people. In some cases, yes, and in some cases, no. For example, a poor person...
The suggestion was the opposite.
I'd just like to finish...
He said the poor people give more.
Yes. All right, so I will correct that then, and I will offer support to that, because it's not so much as far as monetary or material, the amount, but to take in fact the percentage, and also that a wealthier person may be compensated much far greater than another person of non-status, as it is nowadays. And a person can be born wealthy as a result of akusala karma, and a person can be born poor as a result of kusala karma, in that they are humble of means and able to see the danger.
Hold it, don't.
I just want to finish. The danger of attachment. So they have been blessed with a birth of humble means. This is, one does not know accumulations. Wealthy people who have all their needs satisfied may be finding that they are quite unhappy, as something to sit at a banquet all the time, all the while sated, and yet not satisfied, and quite unhappy, with bitterness of complaint, being surrounded by flatterers, yes people, and so forth. So I'm just stating here that it is not possible, it's not a good idea to make sweeping comments or generalizations, because no one can speak with authority, with surety on anything, saying it is in fact so.
Sukhim sir, I will take the points of ma'am also later, but I first want to know your points. You are from, Hindi also, and a lot of the languages. Sir, is it correct that Buddhism teaches you to give up all your desires?
The word Buddha should be a good reminder.
Exactly, sir.
Right. Buddha comes from buddhi, understanding. So that itself shows that understanding is the most important. So I would say that the purpose of Buddha teaching is for people to understand the truth. Nothing more than that. Just understanding. Give up attachment and all. We don't talk about it. Why? How can you tell someone who has no understanding at all that one should give up attachment? He will just take it as a philosophy or something to think about with attachment. No understanding, but to understand. Little by little, understand everything. I wouldn't even say to understand attachment, but understand everything. That is our experience from moment to moment. Seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing, sound, visible object, everything. That's what the Buddha taught.
Would you like to keep akusala, unwholesome reality, forever?
No, ma'am.
That's the Buddha teaching.
But one thing, if I am getting the knowledge of enlightenment as a common public thinks, and mostly the people thinks who are going to the meditation centers, a shortcut to get the enlightenment, So I think they keep all these kind of akushla and lobha also.
Yeah, from the moment of thinking to go, and while there, they stay there.
And each moment there's understanding, there is detachment also. But first, in the beginning, that detachment is aimed at the idea of self and things. That's why a Sotapanna has no more wrong view, but still has attachment to sense objects. So, even as we speak, someone, a beginner, says one should give up attachment to sense pleasure. It's with a self. So that's not the way at all. That's like shutting the door to the reduction of attachment.
So, sir, we can conclude that one should not have any kind of desires.
No, we should not say that one should, because the first thing, let's understand the Buddha's teaching is not about should do this or should do that. First of all, we can understand that only when we understand that it refers to what dhammas are most useful. So if we say which dhamma is most useful, is understanding is the first. If we understand that it is understanding that can eradicate attachment, so it shows the understanding is the most useful. At that time we should say that we should develop understanding rather than have less attachment. But the word should also has to be understood. What do we mean? Because most people who have not heard the Dhamma, they have a lot of shoulds, but no understanding. But if we talk, we must begin with seeing the value of understanding anything. Then we can understand the word should. What should and should not be done is not self. It's not by self anyway. It's just pointing to realities that are more valuable than others. So I would say at any time, again I repeat that understanding is the most valuable at any given moment. So for example now, what do you think is better? There's a moment of giving dana chitta, to want to give somebody, or understanding that dana is just a reality?
Sir, understanding.
Did you like to have attachment? Yes, because of ignorance. So anyone who doesn't see or understand the danger of attachment still want it. But anyone who sees the danger of attachment understands that there is only one thing or one reality which can eliminate and get rid of attachment absolutely, never to arise again. Must be right understanding stage by stage. That's why we learn to understand the danger of attachment. Otherwise, we don't think that should be a moment of understanding Dhamma in order to have less attachment. Because no one can get rid of attachment, only right understanding, which develops on and on and on. That's why Sotapanna doesn't have attachment to wrong understanding anymore, but still have attachment to sensuous object until seeing more danger of attachment. So there can be that realization of higher level of panya, sakatakami. The same thing, just understand and develop the Eightfold Path in order to attain the Four Noble Truths. That is the eradication of attachment stage by stage. See, even there's no attachment to sensuous object, there is still the attachment to the bhava, being. Even anagami in the Rupa Brahma world still have the attachment to power, being.
Suffering is the root cause of attachment, is the root cause of all the sufferings.
And I'd like to point out also this, that people before the Buddha's time, they saw the danger of sensuous attachment, and they practiced ways how to, they developed understanding and came to a point where they saw how to suppress, to keep those experiencing the sensuous objects, because they know the moment they open their eyes there's attachment, and they hear, they think, it's all attachment. So how to not experience those? So they developed understanding that made them reach a point where they would not experience sense contacts and be in a state of calm. So no attachment at that point. But the attachment is suppressed, and it does not get eradicated even a little bit. On the other hand, a Sotapanna still has sensuous attachment, but he's eradicated wrong understanding. So he's to the path of finally eradicating all kinds of attachment. But someone who does not want attachment and does not understand will not reach that point. He can only have less attachment temporarily.
And I think that we better talk a little bit more about kilesa, kamma, and vipaka, because the round of samsara is kilesa and kamma and vipaka.
Vipaka.
So when we talk about vipaka, does a dog have vipaka like us?
No, man.
A dog or a cat? Does it?
No. Vipaka is the result. It's there.
So it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
It's kamma, vipaka, and kilesha. It's a circle of the whole circle of the samsara.
No, we're talking about one reality at a time.
Okay.
So when Ajarn asks you, does the dog have vipaka? It's asking, does the dog see? Because that's vipaka.
Yeah, it's
Does the dog hear? That's vipaka.
Result is there.
So is the dog rich when it experiences what a rich man experienced?
We don't have any experience of it.
See, because we do not talk about the absolute realities, so we have many ideas, but we have to understand clearly the difference between the kilesa and kamma and vipaka. So without kilesa, there can never be kusala kamma and akusala kamma. No condition to condition great big about unwholesome and wholesome, kusala citta and akusala citta. Because just looking at this, there must be attachment for sure and ignorance, but not as more of great or more like we like something so much that one can kill or steal, see, doing the unwholesome deeds. That's why it depends on, without kilesa, there will not be kusala and akusala kamma, but they are different. For example, to be born must be as this or that, must be the result of kamma, this or that in the past. We don't know at all. People are different because of different kamma, which condition the birth consciousness, and before death, which is conditioned by the same kamma as birth. To be this person for how long? It can be months or years or hundreds and so on. So this is the vipaka, the result of kamma. But the kilesa is not the kamma and the vipaka, but it's the cause or condition for kamma. So whenever there is ignorance, there must be attachment and aversion and mana or whatever is there. But it's not at the level of doing good or unwholesome deeds, akusala kamma, but it's kilesa. That's why after seeing there is kilesa, but not yet kamma. So can the moment which experience and have attachment, very, very subtle, very little, can it condition the result? Or it cannot, because it does not reach the degree of akusala kamma yet.
Ma'am, it does not?
Condition vipaka, because it's so very little, and it doesn't condition any akusala kamma deeds or unwholesome deeds, but unwholesome kilesa is there. So after seeing there is kilesa, but not akusala kamma deed yet, right? But if you like it more and more and more, it can condition the akusala karma. So when it is not at level of karma, it is accumulated only to have more or less depending on the kind of akusala. Some have more attachment than aversion, and some have more aversion than the attachment. It depends on accumulation. So we have to understand clearly about kilesa and kamma and vipaka. When it's not kamma, it cannot produce result, but it is accumulated a moment when it arises. Once dosa arises, it's gone, it has to fall away. But since it's there once, it left the mark or anusya there to condition more moments according to the amount of accumulation. But when it's complete karma, like killing must have such and such, so it can produce result.
That kind of results.
So to be born is the result. To see is the result. But like this is kilesa, not karma. And at moment of seeing, when it's present object, it is the result of kusala karma. So when I ask about dog or cat in the rich family, they see everything the people see. So it has kusala vipaka. From what karma we don't know. But there must be ignorance and kilesa more than human beings sometimes. And sometimes people have more, depending on what kind of animal, tiger, snake, or whatever. Fly, mosquito. Can a mosquito have the kusala vipaka? Why not? Why not in the rich family?
Ajarn, in the end, any living being must have vipaka.
Right.
That worm you said the other day, that queen who was born as the
Right.
worm.
So it's not I or anyone at all, only different citta arising from time to time.
I think you should, Ajarn, often we have a lot of questions that arises just from, not from wisdom, but intellectual curiosity. And Ajarn reminds us about that and points to the relevance, the importance of understanding just one reality at a time, one word at a time, and one reality at a time. And that's the purpose of Dhamma. I know it's a habit amongst people who have not heard the Dhamma and are interested in the Buddha's teachings, have read a lot of books, that they have questions that are speculative in nature. But I think if you've appreciated something of what you've heard here, you can see that it's not helpful to ask and give answers to those questions. So in the end, what's helpful is just to come back to this present moment. And that's the hardest. It's not hard to give answers. It's not hard to translate from Thai translate from English what you just heard into Hindi. That's not hard. Hard is to understand that now is the reality to be understood.
Good, sir. Good. Sir, you can't say, sorry to say that, my apologies. You can't say the curiosity is not good. If curiosity is not there,
Wrong. It's wrong.
it's wrong, ma'am. It's wrong.
Curiosity is the right understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
So
It's
is
not
it
a right understanding.
wholesome, kusala?
No, it's akushla.
It must be.
It can't be good. But as when we knows Dhamma, then this technicalities and this sense, then this conversation is very good, very good.
Because
So-
there are two different cetasikas, chanda and loba. When there is the seeing the value of understanding, there must be thinking, considering, and learn more about Dhamma, no matter by way of listening or reading, because understanding that the best thing in life is understanding the truth. That is by Chanda, not by Lopa.
And just understanding that all these questions is like a load that is just lifted away.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. So, what I feel, questions are always questions, sir.
See, we're not saying that each person, we respect each person's, the fact that there's no self. He's just from his accumulations. We understand that. So we're not like dismissing and saying, oh, don't ask. But we're just pointing out that what's relevant and not relevant. So a person with understanding is not going to, will see that it's not helpful to speculate. A person who does not have understanding will think that those questions are very important to ask and get an answer for.
It's the same way that you are taking Buddhism as a religion, not as a philosophy.
Not as a philosophy, definitely. And as a religion, it depends what you mean by religion. But I see it as pointing to the truth now. It's not a philosophy. Just pointing to the truth now. It's not something to speculate about. It's not something to think about. Something to understand. Something to that points to what can be understood now.
So, some people can say that you are biased, sir.
Let's forget about some people. You can tell me why. How is that biased?
It's a religion. It's a philosophy.
What?
I mean, it's a religion. It's a philosophy.
Is Buddhism a religion or philosophy?
What do you mean by religion and what do you mean by philosophy?
How can you question me?
Because we speak the word that we don't know from birth to death. See, the idea.
That's the purpose. That's the beauty about Dhamma.
Yeah, exactly. Actually,
It's pointing to making us begin to understand that we've been talking a lot about a lot of things with no understanding at all.
yes.
So it brings us back to question each word that we use.
We have to come back at that point of understanding that what we are asking.
Just for your sake,
Exactly, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
to investigate, to think over it, to understand. It's your understanding.
But I will not stop.
So
my
what
questions.
is
You cannot stop.
If you say also, if I understand
You
also,
cannot
then
stop.
nobody can stop.
You cannot stop. Kilesas are still there.
Otherwise, you will talk like when you haven't had the teachings of the Buddha about this and that without understanding nature or the reality of it. Is that karma now? When drinking, it's not karma. So it's like karma now.
Yes, ma'am.
When at moment of understanding, it's karma, mind or process. Because it works and works on and on to understand. It doesn't mean that you didn't hear anything, you didn't consider anything, but at that moment it's karma, kusala karma.
So,
For sure.
Ajarn, you're saying when there's right understanding, it is karma of the level of kamapatha
Pavana. Yeah.
and kamapatha.
It's not the deeds that one has done, like giving, but
Right.
at that moment, citta and cetasika performs the function. Each
So,
of them.
because you pointed out at the also
And-
that just liking a drink is not karma.
No,
Okay, so you're talking about the level which is mind door, because just drinking is body door, but it's not any harmful deeds. But the mind door is different. Mind door, right view is karma. Okay.
because it's only just be silent when one has wrong view or right view, see, and have discussion of karma. It's like a function, a work, like other karma, which performs its action or deeds or manners. So now it's the manners of citta, which is kusala, wanting. I use the wanting, but it means chanda, to understand the truth. So it's karma at moment of understanding. But when there's no understanding, it's not akusala karma, but it's akusala citta. But when you talk with your wrong understanding, for people who will have wrong understanding, then it's akusala karma.
Now there's one more question.
See, you. Yeah.
I got time. I'm example of Kalisha. Now I should do one Akushla Karma more. I should ask one more question, and I am you can say that in this language that it's Kalisha.
Excuse me. That's why the karma can be done through deeds and speech and mind.
Sir, are the mind and the soul? Actually, we are talking karma a lot.
Is the seeing? Is the seeing?
Is there seeing? Yes, ma'am.
Is seeing a soul?
No, ma'am.
So what is a soul?
Yes, it's a word, but is there anything other than seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking in life? And of course, the door.
Birth consciousness, death consciousness.
And Bhavanga. Is there anything other than that?
No, sir. I have not seen it. I have not read it. But
no, from what you've listened and understand, is there place for anything else other than that?
So it means that there is no soul. There is only mind.
We have to ask also, what do you mean by soul, right? So, if you're talking about, it's the same as self. If there's no self, if there's only seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, etc., from birth to death, then where's self? Because there's only that. So same with the idea of soul. Where did that come from? But we can also understand the idea of self. I am doing this comes from not understanding, misunderstanding. Seeing in the seeing, there's a self in the seeing, or seeing is in the self. Like we get the impression of I'm seeing. So same thing, from that later on comes the idea of, oh, there's something behind that seeing, self also, soul. That we can understand also. That can that idea is just conditioned by a certain reality, right?
I am seeing.
I am seeing, and then this is my. I have a soul. Not only I am seeing, I have a soul also.
I have something. As far as previous comments about philosophy and religion, what this Dhamma Center is about the Buddha's teachings and the truth. So religion and philosophy are somewhere over there. What's important here is understanding.
Religion can also refer to sasana. Sasana is, we refer to the Buddha's teachings and all his teachings, and as the sasana also. You can use the word religion. So my question was what he understood by religion, because different people, they apply the same word to everything. So it can come from the word the teacher of one kind of teachings and those who follow that teachings. So coming from the teacher, the Buddha, the teachings, and people who follow his teachings can also be considered a religion, but it depends on the understanding. Right, Ajarn?
I think that it depends on definition. If you don't use any word at all, like religion or philosophy, the truth is the truth. So the words of the truth, who know that? The Buddha. So we don't mind whether you call it religion or philosophy. It doesn't matter at all, but it's the truth. So what is Buddha, Sasana, or the teachings is the teachings of the enlightened one, who has realized all truth, and he taught about the truth. So if there's no teaching of his word, understanding at all, there wouldn't there be the word Buddha Sasana or Buddhism. You call it Buddhism, but we don't mind whether you call it the Buddha's teaching or the teaching of the truth. It doesn't matter.
Very distinguishing thing about the Buddha's teaching is to show the difference between reality and concept, and to show that thinking is just thinks about concept, whereas this distinction is not made anywhere else. So what they're left with is just thinking and thinking and thinking.
And it's
Not
not just
understanding.
thinking. It's a truth that can be proven, can be directly understood, clearer and clearer, not just the theoretical knowledge.
So again, that's a reminder about what's relevant and what's not relevant. If the question does not is not associated with the understanding that thinking just thinks about concept, thinking is not understanding, then it just is not helpful, because then you think the answers is in the thinking. The solution of the problem is in the thinking. That but the Buddha's teachings is about understanding the reality of thinking as just one reality, rising and falling away, rather than be caught up in thinking and not understanding anything.
Rather than caught in thinking, rather than understanding.
Understanding.
Not
Thinking
anything.
as just thinking.
So when one is asked whether Buddhism is the relation of philosophy, as in whether what do they understand about the teachings, and then ask, is that relation or philosophy? For now.
Yeah, and then now, ma'am, like a lot of the questions can come also like this way, that in Buddhism, what kind of relation should be between the individual and the individual with the community?
That is
It's
thinking
like- yeah,
or
that is a
definition, but we can change the word, the definition of the.
So Jan's question is, you can use but either thinking or religion, but depends on what the understanding you're trying to convey, and the understanding has to be, as we keep saying, aimed at understanding what appears now.
Or
So
not religion and not
or not
philosophy.
because usually we know what philosophy is, right, and what religion is, like other religions, is just a lot of words without any understanding. Same with philosophy, a lot of words without any understanding. But this is words that lead to understanding.
Words doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
in the conventional way,
This
we
is
are
the
just
way-
using this kind of things.
Yeah, I think that this is a way to help people to have understanding, not just answer whether this or that. That's not enough, and it's wrong too.
And ma'am, like I have also seen, sorry.
Okay, you can use that.
In Buddhism, using the theories practiced by monks and nuns, ma'am, do you think they know they are practicing the theories, the Buddhist theories? The monks and the nuns are practicing the Buddhist theories, and they are not knowing anything about the sickness and death.
They don't know anything about the teachings of the
Ma'am,
Buddha
how
when
would-
they
how-
do not study. You know, in Thailand, the teacher of Abhidhamma has meditation center. See? Is there any understanding from Citta, how many Cetasika with this and that? But what about anatthaness? No understanding of anatta,
Permanence.
because they just want to attain enlightenment instantly by sitting or whatever, walking.